Mr. Chairman, at what point will the taxpayer no longer be on the hook for the massive AIG failure? What is the end game for American taxpayers?
Well, Senator, first of all, the AIG situation is obviously a very uncomfortable one for me as well as for you. We took those actions because we felt that, first of all, that the failure of the world's largest insurance company, with millions of policyholders, thousands of derivatives and credit insurance counterparties, and a huge number of other interactions with other financial firms, would be devastating to the stability of the world financial system. And if there's been any doubt about the power of financial stress to affect the real economy, I hope that it's been removed at this point. And so an important consideration in our action certainly was to try to preserve financial stability. Secondly, of course, we now have of necessity and regrettably a significant public investment in the company. Our belief was that to allow the company to fail at this juncture, putting aside its huge adverse effects on the financial system and on the economy, would have greatly also impaired the ability of the government to recover the investments that have already been made in the company. The actions we've taken will help to stabilize the company, will maintain its credit rating, will allow it to continue its process of spinning off and selling its constituent non-core companies, will allow it to continue to strengthen its core companies within the United States. We don't know for sure what the future will bring. We don't know how the financial system will evolve or how the economy will evolve. But I do think that this does give us the best chance both to achieve financial stability and as well to ultimately recover most or all of the investments that the public has made in AIG.
AIG has given the counterparties $20 billion. Those people could be just about anybody in the world. Why won't the Fed disclose who those are?
Well, first, in terms of disclosures, I think it's very important that we be as open and transparent as possible. And as I've indicated last week in my testimony, Humphrey Hawkins' testimony, the Fed has set up a committee headed by Vice Chairman Cohn who's going to review all of our disclosure policies and try and ascertain what types of information we can disclose without adversely affecting policy effectiveness, for example. The fact is, though, that the counterparties of AIG, like life insurance owners, purchased financial insurance. They made legal, legitimate financial transactions. They have normally, under normal conditions, they would have a presumption to privacy about their commercial decisions. So that is a consideration we have to take into account. But we understand your concern, and we want to make sure that we provide all the information that's needed to make good public policy judgments.
Mr. Chairman, essentially, taxpayers have been kept in the dark on this AIG issue. They're looking at this massive infusion of money. They can't figure out who's being rescued, and why they're being rescued, and there's been virtually no accountability with respect to where the money's going. I've asked you what the end game is. You've said the situation is evolving. I've asked you why we can't disclose the counterparties. Could be anybody, as far as I can tell, in the world, and you're saying you're studying it. I just hope that in the days ahead, the Fed is going to come clean as to why this is so essential. I think this is setting a precedent. I mean, AIG is not an investment company, it's an insurance company. Insurance companies in Oregon don't take these kinds of risks, and people want to know how we got into this situation and specifically what's being done to turn it around.
I'd like to address that. May I, Senator?
Sure.
I think if there's a single episode in this entire 18 months that has made me more angry, I can't think of one in AIG. AIG exploited a huge gap in the regulatory system. There was no oversight of the financial products division. This was a hedge fund, basically, that was attached to a large and stable insurance company, made huge numbers of irresponsible bets, took huge losses. There was no regulatory oversight because there was a gap in the system. We were then forced, we really had no choice but to try to stabilize the system because of the implications that the failure would have had for the broad economic system. We know that the failure of major financial firms in a financial crisis can be disastrous for the economy. We really had no choice. But and I share your concern, I share your anger. It's a terrible situation, but we're not doing this to bail out AIG or their shareholders, certainly. We're doing this to protect our financial system and to avoid a much more severe crisis in our global economy.